Aileen Wuornos is a name forever etched in the annals of American crime. Her story is one of the most chilling and complex in the history of criminal justice. She is widely regarded as the nation's first female serial killer, a title that has both horrified and intrigued the public. Her chilling story, a gruesome blend of violence and vulnerability, has captivated the public imagination for decades. The details of her crimes are as disturbing as they are compelling. Wuornos' life was a maelstrom of abuse, hardship, and ultimately, murder. Born into a world of neglect and violence, her early years were marked by unimaginable suffering. She preyed on men along the highways of Florida, leaving a trail of bodies that shocked the nation. Her method was both brutal and efficient, making her one of the most feared criminals of her time. Wuornos' case was sensationalized by the media, turning her into a morbid celebrity. The public couldn't get enough of the lurid details, and her face became a staple on news broadcasts. Her story ignited fierce debates about gender, violence, and the very nature of evil. Was she a product of her environment, or was there something inherently sinister about her? Was she a cold-blooded killer or a victim driven to desperate measures? The courtroom became a battleground for these questions, with experts and laypeople alike weighing in. Even after her execution in 2002, Aileen Wuornos continues to fascinate and horrify, her name synonymous with the dark side of the American dream. Her story serves as a grim reminder of the potential for darkness within us all. Her legacy is a complex one, marked by both revulsion at her crimes and a lingering curiosity about the woman behind the monster. Books, documentaries, and films continue to explore her life, each offering a new perspective on her actions. This essay delves into the life and crimes of Aileen Wuornos, exploring the events that shaped her and the psychological complexities that fueled her deadly actions. Through this exploration, we aim to understand not just the crimes, but the person behind them. Aileen Wuornos entered the world on February 29, 1956 in Rochester, Michigan. Born into a tumultuous family, her life was fraught with challenges from the very beginning. Her father, a convicted child molester, was incarcerated at the time of her birth, and her mother abandoned her and her brother when Aileen was just a few years old. Her early life was a brutal introduction to the world's harsh realities. Growing up in an environment marked by neglect and abuse, Aileen faced physical and emotional hardships that no child should ever endure. Abandoned by her mother and raised by abusive grandparents, Wuornos experienced neglect and trauma from a tender age. Her grandparents, who were ill-equipped to provide a nurturing environment, subjected her to severe physical and emotional abuse. This turbulent upbringing left an indelible mark on her psyche, setting the stage for a life marred by instability and violence. The constant turmoil and lack of a stable support system contributed to her developing a deep-seated mistrust of others. By her early teens, Wuornos was already grappling with poverty, sexual exploitation, and a growing criminal record. She turned to sex work as a means of survival, a decision that would further entrench her in a cycle of abuse and exploitation. She drifted from place to place, engaging in sex work to survive. Her transient lifestyle made it difficult for her to form lasting relationships or find any semblance of stability. Her life became a relentless cycle of hardship, punctuated by encounters with the law. Arrests and incarcerations became a regular part of her existence, each one reinforcing her sense of alienation and despair. These early experiences hardened Wuornos, fostering a deep-seated mistrust of others and a simmering rage that would eventually boil over. Her interactions with people were often marked by hostility and aggression, a reflection of the pain and betrayal she had endured. Her troubled past provided fertile ground for the development of personality disorders that would later manifest in her violent acts. The lack of early intervention and support only exacerbated her mental health issues, leading to a tragic downward spiral. Wuornos' story is a tragic testament to the devastating impact of childhood trauma and the urgent need for societal safety nets to protect vulnerable youth. Her life underscores the importance of early intervention and the provision of mental health services to those in need. Had she received the support and intervention she so desperately needed, perhaps her life would have taken a different path. The story of Aileen Wuornos serves as a poignant reminder of the consequences of neglect and the potential for change when compassion and support are extended to those in need. The years 1989 and 1990 marked a dark turning point in Aileen Wuornos' life, a period that would see her descend into a spiral of violence and infamy. During this time, she embarked on a chilling series of murders that would forever define her legacy, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of criminal history. Operating along the desolate highways of Florida, Wuornos preyed on unsuspecting men, luring them into her web of deception with the promise of sex, a tactic that proved both effective and deadly. Her victims, often truck drivers or travelers passing through, became her targets in a twisted game of survival and rage, each encounter ending in tragedy. Wuornos's modus operandi was as calculated as it was brutal, a cold and methodical approach that left little room for her victims to escape. She would solicit her victims, often posing as a hitchhiker or a stranded motorist, a guise that played on the goodwill of those who stopped to help. Once she had gained their trust, she would use a .22 caliber pistol to end their lives, a small but deadly weapon that became her signature. Her motives, she would later claim, were rooted in self-defense, alleging that her victims had attempted to rape or harm her, a narrative that she clung to throughout her trial. These claims, however, were met with skepticism by law enforcement and prosecutors, who saw her as a cold-blooded killer rather than a victim. Regardless of her motivations, Wuornos's actions left a string of shattered lives and families forever scarred by the loss of their loved ones, a pain that would never fully heal. Her killing spree terrorized the region, turning her into a phantom menace lurking in the shadows of Florida's highways, a specter that haunted the memories of those who lived through the fear she instilled. In the aftermath of Aileen Wuornos's capture, the focus shifted to justice for her victims. Families of the deceased sought closure, grappling with the loss of their loved ones. The court proceedings were intense, with the prosecution presenting a compelling case against Wuornos. Her confession, coupled with the evidence, left little doubt about her guilt. The jury's verdict was unanimous, guilty on all counts. After a lengthy trial, Aileen Wuornos faced her final sentence. The judge handed down the death penalty, a decision that sparked widespread debate. Some viewed it as a necessary measure for her heinous crimes, while others questioned the ethics of capital punishment. Wuornos herself remained defiant, often expressing a desire for her own execution, stating that she wanted to leave this world and find peace. Aileen Wuornos' story didn't end with her sentencing. Her life and crimes captivated the media, leading to numerous documentaries, books, and films. The most notable portrayal came in the movie Monster, where Charlize Theron's performance earned critical acclaim and an Academy Award. These representations fueled public fascination, painting Wuornos as both a villain and a victim of her circumstances. Even after her execution in 2002, Aileen Wuornos remains an enduring enigma. Her life story continues to spark discussions about mental health, the criminal justice system, and the societal factors that can lead someone down a dark path. While opinions on her actions vary, one thing is certain: Aileen Wuornos' legacy is a complex and haunting chapter in the annals of American crime history.